Okay, now we're at my table here. These three screws right here, they're 5 millimeter. They hold the back. They hold the circuit board and everything to the back of the face. This is what I was talking about, where these things just shatter. So because of that, we're going to use this one here. This one's still in pretty good shape. They give you an extra screw back here just in case these break, so that this face doesn't fall off and start interrupting the needle movement on the front. This is what it looks like when you take it apart. You've got the worm gear right here that's attached to the motor in the back. That little thing right there, that's your motor. That big one right there, that runs your speedometer. They run off of two separate things. So usually what somebody would do is they'll take this apart and they'll unplug it from that connector, and then they'll wiggle this little motor out and change out the motor. However, I've tried to do that and I can't get it to work. So what I do is I snap the odometer out, and I'll show you what it looks like when you get it out. On the back side, you have alignment tabs. You have a lock there and a lock there. So when you put this in, you would set it down the little feet here. Let's see if I can zoom in there on the feet. See the little feet right there? They go on the back side of this blue right here. And then you push this down and then it snaps in here. What you want to do though is you want to take your odometer and you're fitting it down inside this hole right here. So what it'll read off this bottom gear here. So this worm gear turns this gear, which in effect through this little transmission right here goes down here to the trip odometer. And then when you hit this button right here, it lifts this up and away, causes this to zero out because there's a spring in here that automatically zeroes it when you push up. So you don't want to mess with this part here. As far as setting it to where it was in the car, because you're going from this board to this board, I don't worry about that. All I do with it is I'll reset the speedometer or the odometer here to whatever the miles are supposed to be, but I'll leave it about 3 miles short. You want to do that so that you've got time for this thing to roll up the way it's supposed to. That, and sometimes you want to give a couple miles off. Even though it'll be accurate, it'll be off only a couple of miles, and that's usually negligible. If you ever get a car towed and the back wheels are on the ground and the front wheels aren't, makes up for it. So either way. So then to get this out, you got to pop it off on this side over here. And you can do that with a flathead screwdriver. If you got a pair of pliers handy, you take the jaw of the pliers, put it down underneath this metal piece right here, which is the rod that holds it all together, and then you take the top part and you put it up against the top of the blue and pop it real good and it'll snap right out. Then these will not come apart. In the earlier ones, like the 92 to 94, 95 models, you can take this apart, set them manually, and then stick them back together again, and it'll work. This one you can't do that with. They've gotten to the point here where this is an anti-theft feature. So what you have to do is after you get this out, you have to hold it in one hand and either turn it with the other or use a drill. You can use your drill, plug it in on this side here, and then just slowly hit the trigger until you get to where you need to go, and then pull it out of the drill. Slide it back down in here. Now when you put this back in, you got to push down real hard on this till it snaps in. And then the tricky part's going to be to put this board, because this is the board we're using, this is our new board, putting this board back on the face. And this is what I'm going to show you here. See right in there, you see it's already cracked. There is a high probability, based on how that's cracked, that as soon as I put the screws in, that thing's going to come apart. I don't know why they do this. It's just every one I've ever done, they break there. That's what the super glue's for. If you can get in there with the pieces after they've broke, super glue it back together, you have to wait at least a couple hours for the glue to set, and then you can put the screws back in and you're good to go. This one here, this one broke years ago, back when I first did this. If I remember right, this is the original speedometer face for the car. So all I did was I just took the other speedometer that I was using as a donor and put the back of it in here, and then as I was tightening it down, it broke. And then the other day, well, about a month or so ago, I had to change out the entire dashboard because the tack quit working. And so I found these screws sitting in the bottom. This is our old dashboard piece. I found the screws sitting down in the back. But this is what the inside of your dashboard is going to look like when you get your gauges out. These 3 pins and this 1 pin here, that runs your speedometer. These 3 pins run your fuel gauge. These 3 pins run your temperature gauge. And then these 3 pins run your tack. I'm not exactly sure what that's meant for, but I'm sure it's for something that never happened. And then, of course, your printed circuit board's on the back. And this is what your printed circuit board would look like. This one's burnt. This is what a burnt one would look like. It's got parts missing on it and everything. That's part of the reason why we did this in the first place. But to set this, after you get the gauge together, let me see if we can get that thing to pop out there. Gotta get me a pair of pliers. So let's see if I can find me a pair of pliers around here. Yeah, these might work. Little side cuts here. I don't know if they'll do it or not, but we'll move our good board out of the way. Get it out of the way so we don't get it confused with the bad board. And then we'll take your pliers. Let me see if I can do this with one hand here. And you take your pliers and you just pop up on it and it'll snap right out. I don't know if it's going to do it. Now I'm going to have to pop that out, and then I'll show you on the next one how we put it back together.